everyone. This is Nancy Rebecca, and I am talking about the October frequency forecast. And I am over the moon excited about the huge kind of quantum leaps in vibrational frequency that we're going to be making this month. So my name is Nancy Rebecca, and with Intuitive Mind, and I've been doing this work for about 25 years now, and you can read a whole lot more about me on my website at intuitivemind.org. But let me just jump right into this month that's coming up. I'm just like, I can feel myself like taking a deep breath and trying to get my feet firmly on the ground. Just the other day, I was just going to go for a walk in the park, and I just felt stopped in my tracks by the spiritual downloads that seem to be coming through right now. I've been having to kind of just stop what I'm doing and go write down some notes, because there's just this flood of information that's coming in. And this is exactly what you can expect to experience the entire month of October. There's this multi-dimensional, really wide, broad light portal that is opening up from October 1st through October 6th. We're having this kind of, I don't know if it's a new moon or full moon, something happening on October 6th, but during that time, it's quite bright. So as I was kind of looking at the calendar, I was really focused on September, which was, as we know, a huge month as we're kind of letting go of old coping mechanisms and survival mechanisms and just old ways of working with our energy. And now we get into this month and it's like, all right, you shed quite a bit. So let that rocket kind of take off. And that's kind of what it's going to feel like for a lot of us, where everything that we've kind of known to be true for ourselves, you know, that truth is going to get rattled. We're starting to really shed illusions, shed false things that we have believed to be true but are actually false. And sometimes we believe these truths so much that there's no room, there's not even a crack in the doorway of light to illuminate those falsehoods. But this month of October and November too, we're going to be shedding illusions and shedding false truths, so that we can get to the true truth of who we are as a human race, as humanity, and this kind of expansive consciousness, not only just on our Earth, but also in our entire galaxy. So this portal opening, so let me kind of talk about this a little bit, because it's almost like as I was kind of tuning into it, and I encourage all of you to go into meditation and see if you can kind of get a feeling for this portal, you know, before it happens. As you're listening to this, there's this sense of almost like you can toss this rock through it and you never hear it hit the ground. It just seems kind of this absence of time and space. There's not even these dimensions. It's almost like this suspension of light that's illuminating through, that we don't have the veil is almost non-existent between the physical world and the spiritual world. So when I was asking Spirit said what's going to be happening is these kind of quantum leaps of vibration and frequency. We're only going to be going through this for about 5, 6, maybe 7 days of this surge of like sacred geometry, of these light codes that are going to be coming in, of this really kind of high level spiritual knowledge, high intellectual knowledge that will be coming through. Just like little surges are coming through this portal. So you're going to be maybe experiencing some downloads. Now, for those of you who are extra sensitive, you may know exactly what these downloads are, but for the average person on the planet, we may not even know what it is. We may not have that level of consciousness, but it doesn't matter whether you've got the consciousness or not. Your energy field will still be taking in these light codes, this sacred geometry, this high level of spiritual knowledge and wisdom is going to be infusing into your aura. So it's going to be a huge change of what are we kind of upgrading our system is kind of what's going to be happening. And then let's see what I have to say about that. And then around getting to October kind of 7th, that's when the portal is going to start to close. And so as it starts to close down again, we're going to initially kind of feel that sense of relief. It's like, oh, I can breathe again today. We're going to feel that sense of relief. But remember, these light codes are sitting in your energy field. Your physical body, your emotional body, and your mental body still need time and space to be able to integrate it. So all of these kind of light codes, sacred geometry, it's going to be coming through. It's still going to take you about 6 months to integrate all this new knowledge that's available to you. So don't expect to have it overnight. Don't expect to understand it overnight, but most certainly build in integration time. So when that portal is open between the 1st and the 6th, nature in big capital letters, Nature. You really want to get in nature. You want to get rooted. Because nature is balanced. Nature is harmonious. So making sure that we build in some nature time will really help your body to be able to integrate and to be able to feel calm during this time. But the image that Spirit showed me was like the coal, a black piece of coal that is feeling this enormous pressure from the outside. And with that pressure, out of that comes diamonds, these strong, brilliant rainbow color, multifaceted beings of light, souls of light that are so strong that it's hard to cut, it's hard to shatter. That's this strength in your own soul that's going to be coming up this month. The month of October and the next 6 months. So again, you're getting these downloads of frequencies, but it can feel like this pressure, but what's actually happening is your soul, your spirit is becoming that diamond-like brilliance, color, multifaceted light of strength. So that's why it's super excited. So I almost kind of wanted to call this video the good news and the bad news. And the good news is there are lots of upgrades and initiations that are happening from the spiritual realm that are really helping to kind of build up your strength and your confidence and your light and your ability to move forward with certainty. And yet on the other side, it's like, oh my gosh, this is too much. This is too intense. I want to go to bed and put the blankets over my head. So, I really encourage you to watch my video on ascension symptoms or read my blog post on ascension symptoms, just so you understand the symptoms that are happening. So you're definitely going to need to give your body a lot of TLC while these upgrades are happening. However, what Spirit was saying, the single thing that's going to be the most important thing for all of us is to remember we are not the coal. We are not the darkness. We are not our shadow material. Not that there's anything wrong with our darkness and our shadow and the opposite dichotomy side of the coin that we live on between the light and the dark. But to focus on the light, it's like, oh, I'm feeling this pressure because there's new light that's coming in to uplift me. So you may have heard me say in another talk I gave, another video, I said Post-it notes are good. Making signs and putting them around your house is good. Having little reminder calls to check your messages, your little memos on your phone that remind you are a brilliant diamond-like light of strength. Those things are going to be helpful. But in addition, drinking lots of water, getting out in nature, meditating, journaling, etc. So you're going to hear my nursey side come out. in addition to the spiritual psychic information that is coming through. So I talk about October 7th through the 12th is when the portal begins to close down again, but you really want to keep up with your meditations, keep up with nature, because it's like, okay, it's over, portal closed, I'm doing good, I can rest now. No, it's like stopping your car in the middle of a busy 10-lane highway. There's going to be a major pileup of this movement, mass movement you're making forward. If you just stop, it's going to be this massive pileup, and then that's where you just all this depression and anxiety or panic or fear or what the heck. That's what I was doing this weekend. It was like, wow, I feel totally off, and I just didn't think I could right myself. And so, yeah, give yourself some time is what Spirit keeps saying. The only thing that's going to be helpful is time. And trying to keep up with this breakneck speed of busyness in your life is not going to serve you well. All right. So the veil, by this time the portal has now really opened the veil between the physical world and the spiritual world. So in October 7th through the 12th, that veil still remains very porous. So the quality of the veil between worlds has now changed, and it has now permanently changed. So it will kind of reform. There'll be like this another form of a membrane, but it won't be as thick as it was before. And so you may be having some spiritual experiences. You may start to notice that you are feeling the spiritual presence in the room. You may feel angels, your guides, your loved ones around, much more than kind of a fabricated sense of imagination or just by going on pure faith. It will be almost like a real lived experience of experiencing the spiritual world. So just know that that feeling of realness may be more permanent, may have a place of more permanence in your life. All right, then October 13th through the 23rd, this is where I call it time begins to squeeze, shrink, and compress to where it might feel as if you don't have enough time in a day to get anything done. And I can hear you all as you're listening to me and you're like, Nancy, that's nothing new. I don't feel like I have enough time to get anything done in life right now as it is. Well, this is going to be even more so, because let me give you this example. Let's say that you don't have anything planned for the day, and you can have a leisurely morning, you can have a lie-in, you can have coffee and breakfast in bed, you can decide to take a long luxurious bath. You don't have anywhere to go, so you decide to put on clean pajamas and just hang out in the house in your slippers. You can have nothing planned, and that day is going to feel like you don't have enough time in the day to have your coffee, have your breakfast, have your bath. It's because why? It's not an inside thing. There's this outside time space continuum. It's changing. Time and how you relate to time is changing. And so what Spirit has told me is that we do everything in our life in relationship to time. If we're going to boil water for a cup of tea, we know that that might take 3 minutes. If we're going to weed our garden, we know that on average it takes us 30 minutes to weed our garden. All right, if we have to get ready for work, we know it normally takes us 45 minutes to bath, makeup, hair, clothes, walk out the door with the keys in the hands. So we have everything is in relationship to time. So what Spirit is saying, time is changing. So it's like if you can just laugh and find some humor and say, whoa, what happened to the time today? How did time get away from me? Just have a laugh about it, because it's only going to be, what did I say, this time thing between the 13th and the 23rd. So it's about 10 days. It's not going to last forever, but it's almost like this spiritual sampler platter where we are handed from the spiritual world this opportunity to feel time get all screwed up, and then it's going to right itself after the 10 days. And then it's like, then you've got time to integrate. Remember that 6 months that I talked about? Then it's like, okay, you're going to have this 6-month period of time to try to integrate your attachment to time. Let me say that again. You have an attachment to time, and that needs to change. And as your attachment to time changes, that's when things are going to get easier. When I went through my initiation and graduation as a Sangoma, as a medicine woman in South Africa, the Sangomas, there's this saying, it's called ancestor time. So ancestor time is really a spiritual time where you move from one activity to the other when you feel spiritually moved to do so, not by the watch on your wrist or the time on your phone or a deadline that somebody else has given. It's like following the rhythms of nature, following the rhythm of the spiritual world, really tuning into your spirit to know, it's like, how much time can this reasonably take me? So, like, for example, I might have a project, but in that project, as I'm fitting in that deadline that it's going to take me 3 days, I didn't account for the fact that maybe one of my family members got into a car accident and needed to go to the hospital, or maybe my dog got sick, or maybe we had a thunder rainstorm that just stopped all activity in the community, and so I'm not going to be able to get to the things that I need to get to help me with my project. So you see what I'm saying? That it's the spiritual world takes everything, the potential to happen, the things that have the potential to happen. The spiritual realm takes all of it into consideration to help you make a decision on how much time can you reasonably take to get this project done. I can hear you all kind of listening, and you're trying to kind of wrap your mind around what does that exactly mean. So I just want to assure you that you don't need to wrap your mind around it. Remember, it is our mind that's attached to time. What I suggest is that you just be open to being not a reasonable student, but a welcoming student, a willing student. That's the word I'm trying to find. Say to your spirit, I'm a willing student. I'm open to being taught these new perspectives of time. So that's really going to be happening between the 13th and the 23rd. It is going to be a really good time to practice playing with time. I remember once I drove with some friends to an event. It normally takes 45 minutes to get there if the traffic is in my favor. 45 minutes. So now after the event, it's now time for us to drive home the same exact way, the same exact distance, with the same exact group of people and the same exact car. And we were walking in our front door after the drive home in 20 minutes. There was no possible way that that could have happened. Not the way that time works. So these are the kind of funny, kind of funky things you might personally experience during that time of October 13th to October 23rd. Why does it mess with your head? To shake up those attachments you have to time. It's like, oh, you just shake your head and you're like, oh my gosh. And so it really helps you let go of those attachments and play with time. But you can also time jump. So let's say, for example, I have this 3-day deadline and suddenly I need a whole other day, but the President of the United States is waiting for this to make some major decisions about international policy. you can kind of set the intention, say, I need to time jump. I need to suddenly have more time than I actually have. Play with it. What Spirit can do is help you jump timelines to get that additional time that you need. Is this going to be a regular way that we're going to live? Yes. However, this may not happen for us for another 3, 4, 5 years. So right now, Spirit is providing opportunities for us to be able to play with those things. Now, here we go into October 24th through October 30th. During this time, there's going to be some enormous physical barriers that have existed, that dichotomy at the 3D level, and then the 5D is the spiritual level. There's not going to be as big of a division between those two dimensions as there has been in the past. Those barriers are going to continue to rapidly break down during this time. You will finally start to realize you really are a spiritual being here on this earth having a human experience. You will begin to taste test your spiritual being in the driver's seat of your car. You're going to be able to have those spiritual perspective about making choices. I just talked to a client the other day who was saying that when he makes a decision, it's like his spirit shows him like this huge graph of all the potential possibilities before he makes a decision. This is exactly what can happen for you as well, and will happen. For some of you, it may be quicker. For others, it may take you a couple of years. But this is the spiritual perspective where your spirit is able to provide a wider range of crystal clear options for you to use your intuition to help you to decide. But what's also going to happen between the 24th and the 30th of October is that your attachments to physical relationships are also going to temporarily change, where your relationship to your spouse or your partner or your bestie, suddenly it doesn't feel as attached. Your job doesn't feel as attached. Your bosses, friends, drama, chaos doesn't have the same influence over you. You won't have the same triggers and hooks. Now, this sounds like a lovely thing, but do you even actually know? Can you deeply understand how much you move through life based on, if I make this decision, my mom's going to get really upset with me. If I want to take 2 weeks off and go to France, my husband's going to be really upset if I say I need to go on an adventure. So you see what I'm saying? My boss, I want to be creative. I want to have a big project, but I know my boss is going to overlook me like my boss has overlooked me 10 times before. So do you realize how many ways we allow the relationships around us to influence our decisions that we make for our friggin' life? A lot. Is this going to be a permanent change? No. Spirit said it's just this change over these kind of 6 days for you to kind of get that little bit of that sampler platter. Remember, spiritual sampler platter, to kind of feel that more detached. And it's like, wait, whoa, you mean I only have myself to influence my decisions? How am I going to do that? And that's why Spirit's saying that's what we want you to do. If you only had to answer to yourself, would you be able to do it? So, good stuff. So will the hooks and triggers come back? Yes. However, once you've had that little sampler taste of what it's like, you're going to want to start growing into a spiritual place that is not so heavily influenced by those triggers again. Okay, October 31st to November 2nd and 3rd. We're about ready to wrap this up, but I'm telling you, it is a big, big month of change. This is the word I wrote. A cavernous opening of light to the spiritual realm. So we do know in the Celtic tradition, this is called Samhain. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, so apologize. We also know it as Halloween. And on the 1st and 2nd, it's known as All Souls Day and All Saints Day. But what you need to know about those 3 days, October 31st, November 1st, November 2nd, that is where it's almost this seamless passing between the physical world and the spiritual world. It's almost like they become one, and that the spiritual realm, where they're kind of held by this invisible barrier, that barrier is very thin or almost absent, and the whole spiritual realm can descend down onto the earth, and we can really feel their presence. So this is the time to help set up barriers, protections, but also celebrations, to celebrate your ancestors, to celebrate the saints, to celebrate the angelic realm, ascended masters, but also create strong barriers, protections around your property that say, no, I don't allow those disruptive, chaotic spirits and souls to disrupt my life. I'm going to create barriers to doing that. So as we get closer to that time, I will be doing the weekly videos. I'll be giving you tips all along the way. So make sure you click the subscribe button and the little bell so that you get notified each and every week when I am talking about all that's going to be happening this month. So best to you all. Really build in that time to have some rest time and downtime and integration time this month. Please don't try to push through life like you have been. I know the world's trying to get back up to speed again, but we're just not there. So, all right, take care, everyone. I'm going to hop off this video and get on another call, but I'm super excited to share this with you and look up in the river of life and see you all there with me. All right, take care, and I'll see you in next week's video.